Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Challenged podcast. This is episode 22, and this is the first episode of the season that I am hosting alone. As usual, we tend to have co host Leighton below me, but this week he is busy and might be for the next few weeks. We're not entirely sure just yet. We'll have to see and take it as it comes, but until then, you're going to have to deal with me. We might organize a few guests where possible. If not, you can just listen to me. That's okay. Uh, in today's episode, we're going to look at Game Week 22, a review thereof. Then we're going to have a look at some more double game week and fixture speaking, uh, followed by some team stats. We haven't looked at those in a while, along with the player stats. Thereafter, we're going to look at the game week fixtures. Maybe I'll throw in some predictions there. And then my plans for Game Week 23. Let's have a look at how we did this week. We'll have a look at Leighton first, and then look at me, just to break down what he did. He got 51 points in the end, and captained. No, he didn't cap. Yeah, he captained Ronaldo. His one transfer was Son to Jota, and going into this double game week, he was pretty well set up. He had quite a few players heading into the deadline, but then came the rumours that Arsenal were going to apply to postpone their game, which came after deadline, annoyingly for him, and that's why he was looking to get rid of to get Jota and get rid of Son. And I won't mention it right now, but I did mention a good potential punt that he could have taken last week, and he laughed at it. So now's my chance where I can actually tell him that, haha, he should have done that instead. But anyway, to break down his team, he had De Gea in goal, got 8 points. Sofel, Region, and Davies all got 1. Trent got 10. Once again, good performance by him. Bowen with a goal, 7 points, and he could have scored right at death as well, so he was maybe a bit unlucky not to get that in that crazy game. Gray with 2 points. Jota got in 3, although again, very unlucky for him in all the positions, hitting the post, chances galore. Antonio, 4 points, got himself an assist. Ronaldo didn't play the first game, terrible for Ronaldo owners, and he got 2 points in the second game against Brentford and was not happy when he came off the field. And the surprise MVP of Leighton's week was Mr. Ivan Toney, scoring a goal against United last night and getting himself 10 points. On the bench, he had Gundogan. Gallagher got 9 points. He scored on Friday in the first game of the week, and he had Livramento. So, not a bad week, not a great week either. I think he had a small red arrow, much like myself, but he didn't want to take a hit, which made sense, I guess, because you don't know what's going to happen going forward. And there was just too much uncertainty. Having a look at my team, I got 55 points, and I knew going into this game week that I was going to be on the lower end in terms of rank because I only had about 2 or 3 double game weekers. And to make sure that I at least got 3, I transferred in Dennis for Broha. And then, of course, Dennis didn't play the second game because it got postponed, thanks to Burnley. I knew that was a risk going in, but I still made the transfer because they play Norwich next, and Norwich aren't great. So I thought, you know what, it makes sense. Get him. And in hindsight, I probably should have captained De Gea, but I thought De Gea was playing 2 away games, so I didn't really back United for a clean sheet at all, and that I was vindicated in that. But yes, in hindsight, I should have captained him because he at least played twice. The rest of my team, though, I had Trent, Davis, and star of my game week, Cancelo, got himself 11 points. Bernardo got 3, Bowen 7, Jota 3, Gray 2. Up front, I had Antonio and Ollie Watkins, who going forward I'm going to enjoy having. Diaz didn't play this week, which was not great because I would have liked to have the double defense, clean sheet there, but Bernardo came on for him. And I'll still have Livramento, who's red flagged, as well as Salah, who's still at AFCON, and I'm not selling him yet. Again, in hindsight, we could say that I should have bought Bruno for Salah, would have been an easy move, but again, that means that I mentioned it last week. I would then have to have sold Bruno again this week or whenever Salah comes back in a week or two, and then just counting in the hits and how many different transfers I would have to make to make that happen. It made no sense, especially with the random double game weeks that could be announced in these next couple of weeks. So I would have maybe liked to have taken advantage of them, which means more transfers. So I'd prefer to just play it safe. And it wasn't a bad ranking hit for me. I went from about 84k, I think, to 98. And in fact, heading into last night's games, I was on a green arrow until Kane, Kane's second involvement and Bruno's assist went in. So can't be unhappy overall. Although I've just mentioned the man's name, so this is where I mention that the star of the game week was undoubtedly, as we can see in the meme by Lego Mane on Twitter. Everyone heading up to the deadline was saying that people were crazy for bringing in Bruno. How about Bruno, right? And there were a few in the community who decided that it was a very good punt to take. Even if Ronaldo wasn't going to play, he generally stars when Ronaldo doesn't anyway. So they were definitely smiling, those owners who ended up buying him. If those who captained him, even more so, congratulations to you guys. Fernandez, baby. Uh, Going forward, I'm not entirely sure what their plans are for him, probably, but it's a very easy placeholder for Salah. So I think very good options. I don't like the idea of having both him and Ronaldo. So I would probably, if I had both, I would maybe look to, I don't know, I'd maybe look to get rid of one of them soon, although they do play West Ham next, I think. So could be a good thing for United attackers against that West Ham defense who hasn't been playing well. Anyway, let's have a look at the game week. Look at the fixtures. Friday night was a bit boring. Brighton and Crystal Palace. Gallagher getting the goal, and I don't remember who got the goal for Brighton. I think it was a Mopé assist, if I remember correctly. I'll have a look. Yes, it was an assist and oh yeah, Joachim Anderson own goal. But yeah, once again, another return for Mopé, despite having the worst reputation of most strikers available. This is probably one of his best seasons for them. And at the Amex Stadium, still doing pretty well. Probably the biggest game title-wise on Saturday was the first game of the weekend, Man City against Chelsea. I wasn't confident going in. I expected Man City to win, and they did. Hence, yeah, I was really hoping for the double clean sheet, though. Chelsea had a couple of chances, but they really weren't in the game, and their lack of creativity at the moment, or lack of chance creation, is not the best, and we saw that later in the game week too. Uh, I wouldn't be buying them, and I'd probably be looking to sell them as well if I had their players, because they are heading off to the Club World Cup soon, so it's not worth keeping them anymore. As for Man City, their next 3 games are very good, so even though they might be worth selling if you have people like me, I have Bernardo in midfield. It's not great, but with 3 very good games, it's I have no reason to sell them at the moment. And again, with the double defense, I'm not looking to sell them either just yet. Although if I were to, probably consider that on a wild card if that meant that I could get maybe a double midfield in like a Foden and maybe a De Bruyne even. Who knows? It's just spitballing here, but who knows? Maybe. The game we were all hyped up for with one of the most transferred in players this week was Dennis, and many of us captained him, myself included, and it was a very end-to-end game. Newcastle were very attacking, had ample chances. Chris Wood and Trippier did pretty well in their debuts, so I think that's looking pretty good going forward for them potentially. And Dennis had his chances too. He almost set up Sissoko as well in the second half, where Sissoko blasted the ball over. I thought, yes, here come points, and then no. But not unhappy owning him. He's a cheap third option or third striker. I can always downgrade back to someone like Broha if need be. Uh, Norwich pulling off the upset of the weekend, getting a win over Rafa Benitez's Norwich, 2-1, scoring 2 goals in the first half. Those were their first 2 goals in, I think it was their last 6 Premier League outings. I can't remember exactly. And this, of course, led to the downfall of Rafa Benitez, which, yeah, we spoke about that last month. And I did say that if anyone was going to get sacked next, it was going to be Rafa. Bit of a poison chalice accepting that job as a former Liverpool manager, and then add on to the fact that he doesn't play a great attacking style. Add on to that the ton of injuries that he's had to key players this season, and it's just unfortunate. They've had games postponed, and it's never really worked out for them this season. So I can see why they sacked him, but at the same time, I feel a bit of sympathy. I think they've currently named Duncan Ferguson as the interim boss again, which could be good in the short term. He wants it long term, with the likes of Wayne Rooney and Frank Lampard also linked. So we'll have to see how things go there. Next up, Wolves and Southampton. Honestly, I didn't watch this game. I was keeping an eye on it briefly. Jimenez getting himself a penalty. Good to see for Wolves. They're doing pretty well at home. They're improving, and Adama Traore got a goal right at the end. I did remember that. And James Ward-Prowse once again scoring a free kick goal. You just can't give that man chances from range anymore. I think he's now equal David Beckham for free kick goals in the Premier League. So good man. Aston Villa versus Man United, very entertaining game. Steven Gerrard's men did very well. Still looking, would have liked for Watkins to have gotten something in this game, but they did very well, especially when Coutinho came onto the field on his debut as well. Luca Dean debuted too. He started the match, and a lot of the attack was beaming down that left-hand side. So he's definitely an option that I'm considering for a potential Aston Villa double game week, which might be this week or the week after. I will get into that a bit shortly. Um, Bruno Fernandez, though, stole the show, got himself a brace. Congrats to them. And David De Gea making 7 saves in both games. There's 7 saves in each game, I should say. Crazy goalkeeping from that man. And Coutinho as a player, yes, he's doing well. Do I want to buy him FPL wise? I'm not sure. With someone, I have Gray in my team, and he's taking up that fourth midfielder spot at the moment. But he's 5 point something, so I can't get him directly. Coutinho is 7 million, I think. So I would probably have to sell Bernardo to get Coutinho in a straight swap. And I'm not entirely sure I want to do that just yet with Bernardo's fixtures. Even though he's not the most attacking, you never know who's going to score in that midfield. So I'm probably going to hang on to him. Luca Dean, though, I might get in this week if the double game week is announced. It depends on when it's announced. So he could come in for someone like Livramento at the moment in my team. Red flagged out indefinitely. So I can get him in a straight swap for Dean, and that would give me 2 double game week players for them, which I'm considering. Liverpool dominated Brentford, uh, expected, and Jota owners are probably a bit unlucky not to get more from him. I thought he did pretty well. Some people were saying online that he didn't. I tend to disagree. Uh, Brentford, didn't expect much from them. I wasn't an owner. I'm sure those who own Tony weren't that impressed either, although they did play well in the first half. But Liverpool just took it to them in the second half, and their own errors didn't help them either. West Ham and Leeds, fantastic game on Sunday. Leeds just scoring goals for fun recently. They're doing very well. And Jack Harrison getting himself a hat trick. Outstanding for him. Definitely nobody considered that, but Leeds wise, Rafinha once again controlling the show. He's just so nice to watch. I would, if I were to choose between buying someone like Rafinha or Coutinho at the moment, I'm probably going to buy Rafinha because, wow, I'm just a fan. I had him for a long time from the beginning of the season. And if anyone's going to score points in that team, it's usually him. He makes it happen. There were rumors of him going to Bayern Munich in this window. I'm not sure if that's changed or died down, but definitely worth keeping an eye on them, especially now that they're improving. Big win for them getting away from the drop zone. West Ham still conceding goals. It's a bit problematic for them now. If you own their defenders, I know many people still have the likes of Sufal and Diop. They're conceding a lot, and they have Man United next. I'd be selling those West Ham defenders immediately. Although, very good to see Bones still maintaining his good form, and Antonio getting an assist, and he could have had a second assist and a second Bowen goal at the end of the game. So, as an owner, even though they have no double game weeks, they are definitely two players that I'm not selling at the moment. They're like set and forget at the moment. It's just attacking wise, they're doing very well. Heading into the double game week fixtures, that was on Tuesday night. We had Brighton versus Chelsea at the Amex again. And as I mentioned earlier, Brighton have been doing so well at the Amex this season. They don't concede many goals. They don't concede too many chances either. And add to the fact that Chelsea have been pretty impotent in attack. It didn't make for a good potential result. I can't remember my prediction last week, so I'm hoping I wasn't too off. But in hindsight now, it seemed pretty obvious. Um, not much more to say from that game, fantasy-wise. Leicester and Spurs were the first game last night, and Leicester, what's there to say other than they love throwing points away. They should have won that game. They had it sewn up, had it right in the bag until right at the end. Well done to Bergwijn, who came on and scored twice in a minute, and for Spurs for just not giving up, I guess. Kane on the score sheet. Kane got a goal and assist, which bodes well with a potential. They've got more double game weeks coming, so I don't have him, but they've shown that without Son, they can still score goals, even though it was against Leicester, who have not been good defensively. So he's definitely a consideration if you're willing to get him. If you're going to sell Ronaldo, maybe, or who knows. The other game, Brentford and Man United, was pretty good. And then some random goal scorers by Man United in the second half. Greenwood, Elanga, and then Rashford. Ronaldo coming off. Not statement, but I guess he's just coming off a knock. And they were already winning. So I can see why Ranić decided to take him off. And Fernandez getting the assist. So potentially, not entirely sure about their fixtures, but it's a good win for United. And Brentford showed up well in that first half again. I think they had to change. United had to change tactics in the second half in order to be effective. So good on them. I'm hoping that they can avoid relegation this season, but we'll have to see. Let's have a look at some double game week news. I did not consider how much talking I would be doing alone. I've gotten used to doing this with someone talking with me, allowing me to have a break so that I can have water breaks. So I'll do that now. You can have a look at the double game week fixtures by Ben Krellin. Ben Krellin once again creating this amazing chart for everyone to use. And when it comes to double game weeks and deciding or understanding where they are and what's going on, he's definitely worth following on Twitter and yeah, just supporting him. He does very well to give us an idea of when things are going to happen. So, having a look at this graphic, we're currently heading into game week 23, and this past week, Burnley and Arsenal both had blanks. So we'll have to listen to team news this week to see if they're ready for this next week's fixtures. Although I did see that the Premier League have mentioned that they are going to be potentially changing the rules for uh, allowing of a postponement, which is good because a lot of teams undoubtedly have been, I wouldn't say abusing the system recently, but taking obvious advantage of it. So I'm hoping it changes because at this rate, the amount of postponements every week, it makes the game very difficult to enjoy and plan for. But at the same time, the season is never going to end at this rate with so many games left to play. Um, that being said, let's have a look at another graphic by Lego Mane. You can follow him on Twitter at Lego Mane _FPL. And you can see on the left hand side, it shows you the amount of fixtures that need to be rescheduled for each Premier League club. And just to break it down for you, so at the moment, Burnley sit at the top of that log. They have 5 games to catch up. Tottenham, Villa, Everton, Leicester, and Watford. Pretty good games, to be honest, if only they had a striker. And we're obviously all going to go triple Burnley when that triple game week is announced, right? Without a doubt. Captain Ben Mee, Captain Nick Pope, or Josh Brownhill. Second, we have Arsenal and Leicester, who both have 4 games to be rescheduled. Next, there are a couple who are on 3. Spurs have Burnley, Brighton, and Arsenal. Everton and Watford. And of those 3, I would probably say that Watford and Spurs have the best games. Probably Spurs assets you could probably rely on a bit more. But yeah. And then we have quite a few teams who are on 2 games, the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Leeds, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Wolves, and Brighton. A few teams only have 1 game, luckily for them, the likes of Norwich, Southampton, Crystal Palace, and Man United. And then there are only 3 teams who have no games to be rescheduled at the moment, and that's Brentford, West Ham, and Man City. Most people have at least, from those 3 teams, I would probably say that most people have at least 2 Man City players and at least 2 West Ham, maybe even 3 West Ham at the moment. So the fact that they have 4 or 5 single game week players who don't or won't have double game weeks later in the season shows that there might be an opportunity there if you want to capitalize on that, maybe with a wild card to get rid of those players. But as mentioned earlier, if the likes of Bowen and Antonio maintain this form, then there's no reason to sell them. And the same goes for Man City. Maybe you just want to rotate it. Like in my case, I've double City defense. It might be better for me to open up that defensive spot and move the Man City spot into midfield, or just switching your funds around. It's usually for wildcard time. But yeah, looking at the potential double game we can use for this game week, though, there aren't any as of yet. Everyone has a single game week. However, the Premier League, it was mentioned this week in the media that no Premier League matches will take place during the upcoming international break. That's after GW23. And as it stands, up to 2 matches could be featured in the FA Cup Round 4 weekend, which is the weekend of the 5th of February, which is the fourth round. And if that happens, then the timing of the announcement could affect whether it is placed in double game week or game week 23 or game week 24. So hold off on those transfers at the moment. The teams that could move into that FA Cup round are Aston Villa, Leeds, Burnley, and Watford. So if depending on if they announce it today or tomorrow, we would assume that the double game week would be game week 23. And that would mean that Leeds would play Newcastle and Aston Villa at home. 2 great games for them. And Aston Villa would play Everton and Leeds away. Not bad. Burnley would have Arsenal and Watford. Probably not going to buy them, let's be honest. And Watford have Norwich and Burnley. Great fixtures. So if I were to rank them in terms of which teams you'd be targeting with your transfers, if it was in game week 23, I would say probably Leeds first, Rafinha, probably just Rafinha. Aston, no, yeah, Leeds, Dennis from Watford, or King, if you want to get him instead. Aston Villa, and then Burnley. I'm not. The fact that Aston Villa play 2 away games makes it a bit tougher for their players. So looking at it now, I kind of like the look of Rafinha if it is in double game week 23 for Leeds. However, if it's in double game week 24, that would mean that, believe it or not, Leeds would play Aston Villa at home on the 5th of February, and then on the 8th of February, they would play Aston Villa away. So they have both their fixtures for the season right after one another. It's kind of reminiscent of the NBA. And Leeds, obviously, and Aston Villa, obviously the same. They play Leeds away, and then they play Leeds at home. Tough to call those then. Burnley would then play Watford and Man United at home. Still not that intriguing or enticing. And Watford would play Burnley and West Ham away. Still very good because West Ham are not good defensively at the moment. So in that case, if I were to rank them again, I would probably say Watford 1, Aston Villa 2, Leeds 3, Burnley 4. Although it depends. I don't know. Leeds and Villa in that case, who knows what could happen. I probably wouldn't buy a Villa defender though. So I'd probably keep Watkins and then I would still probably buy Rafinha just to cover both. Although that's enough of that. Let's move on to some stats. Everyone's favorite, or should I say Leighton's favorite, he loves stats and numbers and the math behind it all. Having a look at the big chances conceded from teams over the last 4 game weeks, a bit of a caveat before I carry on here. This comes from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Uh, and when you're looking at these stats, keep in mind that it's probably not considering the blanks that the teams have played recently. So when you see like Tottenham, you must know that they've had a game postponed recently, so that's why their stats might look better. And those players who sometimes teams who've played all their games, like Man City, that's why they're lower in the table because they've played more games and most likely conceded more. So just keep that in mind. Big chances conceded over the last 4 game weeks. Team with the least have been Tottenham, Liverpool, Everton, Brighton, and Arsenal. Pretty good for them. And bottom of this list is the team who have conceded the most big chances over the same amount of time: Leicester, Brentford, Southampton. Mainly Leicester and Brentford. Terrible defensively. Again, just like the last few game weeks, I'd be targeting Leicester, no doubt, with attackers. Brentford have conceded the most shots overall, attempted shots at least, 95, towering over everyone else. And Leicester have conceded the most big chances per minute. So that's 16 minutes per big chance conceded. They're out front in that race by an absolute country mile, which is insane to look at. Um, Teams to look at maybe targeting defensively, you would probably want to target the likes of Brentford, Leicester, and even Southampton. We know that on their day they can get smashed, and the likes of Norwich and Crystal Palace are still pretty high there too. And you see the fact, as mentioned earlier, that West Ham have been very leaky in defensive late. 10 big chances conceded and 72 shots conceded as well. So they're conceding a ton of chances. And yes, they've had injuries in defense, but until those injuries are sorted out, that could continue. And right above them, Man United, 9 big chances and 74 shots. Crazy that they're still conceding that many. And you'd probably say that since Rangnick's been there, you can see why there have been reports this week of him uh, not rating the likes of Maguire, Luke Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka. So they need to get better overall. The best teams defensively recently, again, keeping in mind the blanks that they have had, Liverpool doing well, Arsenal, and Wolves. Team have been amazingly in defense this season. Unfortunately, they don't have the greatest game, so I wouldn't be targeting them either. On the opposite end of the scale, we have big chances attacking wise, and the most big chances over the last 4 game weeks, West Ham have been immense. 19 big chances in total, 25 minutes per big chance created. So fantastic stats for them. Tottenham are in second. Uh, very well. It's good for them. Before Son's injury, probably that's probably why that came in there, and the fact that they played Leicester last night, who have the worst defense. So that's why they're up there. Man United have been very good recently too, and they're keeping in mind they played twice this game week. That's why. Liverpool, the juggernaut, continues attacking wise. Man City doing well. Title, well, champions incumbent, I guess you can call them at this stage. And Leicester attacking as well. Teams at the bottom end of it, Everton have been terrible, hence Rafa getting sacked. Norwich and Newcastle as well, although Newcastle were better in their last game. Norwich, minutes per big chance, 381. They have been terrible in attack. These 2 goals they scored this weekend were, as I mentioned, their first goals in like 6 games or something. So if you're looking for a clean sheet, play Norwich and Everton at this stage as well. Moving on though to players, defenders. Spurs defenders are top of the pile again defensively for the last 4 game weeks. Then we have the Dawson and Sofal because they played a double recently too. Region's right there too. I'd still be considering him potentially because of their games coming up. Trent, never going to sell him. He's just fantastic. Uh, the likes of Dan Burn could be worth considering. Very cheap option at 4.4. But if you're going to pay 4.4, then you may as well get someone like Sanchez or Doherty, maybe slightly more, or Davis, 4.5. Uh, besides that, not too much. I don't think much is going to change in defense for me for the next few game weeks. I will probably be happy to keep the double city defense. I like that differential at the moment. Very dependable usually. Midfielders, top of the pile for the last 4 game weeks. Jared Bowen, 3 goals, 3 assists. He's been amazing. His XGI has been 3.91, and yeah, he's doing very well. Salah has been playing recently, obviously AFCON. Lucas Moura is doing very well too, and at his price point, you can't deny that he is pretty good placeholder wise. Especially, look, with their games coming up that he's worth getting once those games are announced. That being said, I wouldn't buy him just yet. I'd want security in knowing that the games are going to happen. So someone like, if you're going to be buying someone like Coutinho or Rafinha this week, if they get their doubles this week, and then moving to someone like Moura the week after or whenever those games are announced, that's quite a nice placeholder that you have there, assuming that Son doesn't come back immediately. Mahrez is doing well when he plays, as always. Son as well. Greenwood getting himself a goal last night, but I can't really decide who to pick anymore in that Man United team, and I don't really want to. McAllister has probably been in the form of his life, did very well this past game week again. At 5.3, he's at least worth considering, but probably he's a good make weight, I guess. Sterling could be, he's one of those players who, when he plays well, he does very well. Sterling, De Bruyne, Foden, those 3 players I think are going to be very big in those next 3 game weeks. With their fixtures that are so good, I think they could be massively important. Even though they play once, I think they could be the 3 to target, or at least one of them, perhaps. Looking at the rest of the list, Madison scoring again this past game week, doing what he does. And Diogo Jota has dropped down quite a bit there too. Last 4 game weeks, he hasn't done the greatest. But again, he's without Mane and Salah. But am I going to sell him? Probably not, because he's looked very good. So probably going to keep him, and I don't mind. I think these stats don't show the true reflection of him. I think the fact that he doesn't finish his chances, that's something else entirely. But I'd rather have him than not have him. Looking at the forwards, Kane right on top, doing very well again. Good to see for him, getting back into some form. Antonio as well, also getting back into some good form recently. Edouard is the 3rd best striker there at 6.4 million. I haven't considered Crystal Palace since I've sold Gallagher and Benteke, and I don't remember if they have a double game week. I'll have a look at them just now, but maybe, but probably not at this stage because I have Antonio, who I'm not selling. I have, or most teams have Antonio. I have Watkins, who I'm not going to sell there, and I have Dennis. So there's no real space to get someone like Edouard, or if you have Tony, maybe. Uh, Ronaldo is still up there on his pure volume of shots, I guess. And Chris Wood, has gone up in the rankings there too, even though he's played one game. So I think that could improve for him going forward. Looking at the rest of the list, players like Calvert Lewin, I think it could change for him too. Now that there's new management, there could be a new manager bounce worth keeping an eye on. Paxton Daka scoring this week again, 7.1 million. Leicester having good attacking stats. Maybe, again, if you want to be different. And besides that, not too much. Mopay, again, he kind of gets the points, but out of all those other players that I just mentioned, I would probably buy at least 2 or 3 others alone. They don't score that many goals to make him worth my while. And Dennis, it's a bit frustrating to see him so low, but I, I'm quite happy to own him at the moment, especially with Norwich up next. Okay, let's move on to the predictions, or fixtures, I should say. Looking at the fixture ticker, we have Aston Villa who are on top at the moment, and if you add in that extra fixture, just makes it look even better. Man United as well, good fixtures on paper. So if you have the likes of Bruno and Ronaldo, I'd probably be keeping them. It's hard to sell them in looking at these fixtures. Man City, though, I think they should be on top. Southampton, Brentford, Norwich. And then Tottenham and Everton, who aren't bad either. But those next 3 games are where I think the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, and Sterling could tear them to pieces. Add Mahrez into that as well. But which one of those do you choose? We don't know. Personally, over the last couple of years, I just feel that you pick one and you stick to it, kind of thing. It's just your best bet. And without Salah here at the moment, I think we have the opportunity to pick someone like De Bruyne and just let him go. He's a good captaincy option this week, or next 2 or 3 game weeks actually. That's a potential transfer for those who still have Salah. If you haven't sold him though, I probably still wouldn't sell him. At the bottom of the fixture ticker, we have Chelsea, mainly because they're going to the Club World Cup and they play Spurs next. Second from bottom, again because the blanks, probably Arsenal, but they have Burnley, Wolves. Those are good games. Or at least Burnley is. Wolves away, good defense. You never know. Leicester, Burnley, and Southampton have terrible fixtures, and I think that their bad run could continue. It's going to be an uphill battle for someone like Sean Dyche to try and keep this team up, but I'm not going to write him out because Dyche has pulled off things in the past, so hopefully they can sign a striker or loan a striker to maybe pull something off. Who knows? Hopefully for them they do. Looking at the game week fixtures though, I'll do. Let's do the rapid fire predictions quickly anyway. Friday night deadline, everybody remember that. That's a very important thing to remember. Watford versus Norwich, 2-0 Watford. Hopefully a Dennis masterclass, maybe potential Dennis captaincy. Saturday, Aston Villa. Everton new manager bounce. Aston Villa, I'm going to go 1-1. Hopefully Watkins gets something. Brentford Wolves. Brentford have been playing well. Wolves are good defensively, mainly at home. I think this could be a draw, but I'm going to say 1-0 Brentford. Leeds Newcastle. Leeds are bad. No, Newcastle are bad defensively. Leeds very good on the attack. They're showing their form recently. I think that they win this game 2-1 Leeds. Man United West Ham. I think Man United win this. I think this could be a tough one because I think West Ham will concede. Defensively, they're terrible at the moment. That being said, I think that they aren't afraid of playing big teams anymore. And in the attacking form that they're in, I think that this could be a high scoring game. Again, but that could suit United too. So, oh wow, I'm going to go 3-2. 3-2 to West Ham. Why not? Because screw United. Southampton and Man City. I think the last time they played it was a 0 or draw. This time I see Man City going for the jugular. 4-0 at least. Sunday games, Arsenal versus Burnley. Burnley win this. Sorry, I don't mean that. Uh, Arsenal win this 2-0. No striker for Burnley. They don't stand a chance. Crystal Palace, Liverpool. The old bogey team for Liverpool players. I don't know. I see Liverpool winning this, but I see Palace putting in a good effort. If they start the game well and it gets late and they haven't scored yet, then I'd probably back Palace. But I'm going to say 2-1 Liverpool. Leicester versus Brighton. Brighton don't score many goals. Leicester are in attacking form at least. I'm going to say this is a 1-1 draw. Chelsea versus Spurs. Ooh, tough game. Chelsea not the greatest form. Spurs improving, but without Son. I think I'm going to try and not be biased here. I think that it won't be high scoring, but Chelsea need to win this game to solidify top four because Spurs have so many games in hand. So if Spurs win this, they have more games in hand to easily probably overtake Chelsea. So I think we're going to be up for it, and I think Chelsea win this 1-0. Having a look at the blank fixtures once again, just to show you. Spurs play Burnley, Brighton, and Arsenal. They have those games still come in. So I'll definitely be focusing on getting them eventually. Burnley players, there's no way we're going to buy them unless Cornet comes back and they get a favorable double game week later on for the wild card, maybe, or for free hit. But not going to consider that yet. Okay, let's move on to plans. Leighton, I'm not sure what his plans are for this game week. He hasn't sent me his team. Although, having a look at his team from this game week, I think that he's probably going to look to sell Tony. He might get Dennis against Norwich. I don't know how much money he has in the bank, if any. Probably quite a bit, actually. He could do Gray to Coutinho. He could do Gundogan to Coutinho. He could do Gundogan to Foden. I actually like that move. Gundogan to Foden. Or Tony to Dennis. Or you could do Sofel to a Man City defender. Sofel to Cancelo. Or both. Cancelo and Gundogan to... No, I mean Sofel and Gundogan to Cancelo and Foden, maybe, if he has the money. But yeah, who knows what he'll do. I'm not sure if he'll take a hit or not. We'll have to see. My team, that's my team from last game week. My plans at the moment, I have one free transfer and 1 million in the bank. Currently lined up as follows: De Gea at home to West Ham, Trent versus Palace, Diaz and Cancelo against Southampton, Bernardo, Southampton, Bowen, United, Jota currently has the captaincy against Crystal Palace, Gray against Aston Villa, Dennis against Norwich, Watkins against Everton, and Antonio against United. On the bench, I have Davis from Spurs against Chelsea. Right now, my plans, I don't know. It depends entirely on if there's a announcement for the double game week, and I'm hoping that that comes before deadline. And at the same time, I'm going to wait for team news tomorrow. So if the double game week comes for Leeds and Aston Villa, etc., in this game week, then I'm probably going to be doing Gray to Rafinha. I like the look of that. Then again, Gray could get a double game week soon too. I could also do Bernardo to Foden. That's a consideration. Or, as mentioned earlier, I can do Livramento to Luca Dean, but unlikely to do that, I don't think. So, probably, I think the safe move would be Gray to Rafinha. And that is where we will finish it off today. You can follow us on social media at FanChallenged on Twitter and Instagram. You can subscribe to us and like the video and channel on YouTube at FantasyChallenged, one word. You can also, if you prefer to listen to podcasts, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever else you might find your podcasts. And until then, I wish you good luck. I highly suggest that you don't make any early moves before tomorrow. Wait for the news. Hopefully, we get double game week news. If not, we'll see. Until then, good luck, have a good game week, and I will see you next week. Goodbye all.